So, when you're doing combinations, you're really making two groups each time. You're separating a group and the group you didn't pick. So you could think about it both ways. If I'm picking 2 people for a committee, I'm also picking 7 people to not be on the committee. Okay? So ever how many possible 2s there are that many possible 7s in a group of 9. So, what if I said this? Without having to do the math, this is saying a combination. How many choices do I have? 12. How many am I going to pick? 4. So whatever that number is, which is the different number groups of 4 there are in 12, every time I pick 4, I'm making a group of 8. The 8 people that don't get picked. So, ever how many groups of 4 there are, there's that many groups of 8. Because each time you're dividing the room into 2 groups, a group of 4, a group of 8. So ever how many 4s there are, there's also that many groups of 8. Okay? So x is 8. And you did that without actually having to calculate how many groups of 4 there are. I didn't ask how many there were. I was just saying what would x be for this to be true. Okay? So let's do another one. If you have 25 choices, what is the same as how many groups of 3 you have? How many groups of 22 you have? Y'all get it? Okay? One last one, and then I'll show you how that applies to here. You got it. It's not an L at all. You jumped on that one. Okay? All right. Because if you've got 28 choices, every time you pick 10, you're also picking 18 that didn't get chosen. Okay? All right. So now let's go back to the pens and the watches. Okay? So from the homework, how many ways can 3 identical pen sets and 5 identical watches be given to 8 graduates? Okay. Is this a permutation? Not really, even though this is in the permutation section, because it doesn't matter if you give out the watches first or the pens first. Okay, the order you give them out, what matters is what they're given, right? Well, if you've got 8 people there, what you're really asking is, how many groups of 3 could I give the pens to? Because if you figure that out, how many different people could get pens, you know the other 5 get watches. So you don't have to count that. All you're saying is, how many different ways can I give out 3 pens? Because when you give out those 3 pens, it's just like we were doing. When you pick 3, you're also picking the 5 people who got left out. And the 5 people who got left out get the watches. Right? So this is really just How many different combinations of 3 people could get a pen? Okay? Would it be the same as this? Because what is that finding out? How many people could get the 5 watches? How many different groups could get the watches? Well, if you're picking 5 people to get watches, you're picking 3 people to get pens. Okay? Well, let's calculate them both and show that it's the same. You only have to do one of them. But what would this be according to the formula? Now, we did this one already, right? Yeah, we got 56. Okay? So let's see if we get that here. It would be 8 factorial over...
8 minus 3 factorial,
which is 8 factorial over 5 factorial, 3 factorial. Largest factorial on the bottom is 5, so we're going to do 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial over 5 factorial times 3 times 2. 5 factorials cancel. 3 times 2 is 6. 8 times 7 is 56. Okay, well, let's say you thought to do it this way. What is it? It would be 8 factorial over 8 minus 5 factorial, 5 factorial, sorry. Right? That over that minus that times that. Well, that becomes 8 factorial over 3 factorial, 5 factorial, which looks very familiar. Okay? So for the exact same reason, that's going to be 56. Make sense? Okay. All right, so now let's do these charm bracelets and keychains and those things. Okay. So let's think about this. If you have I'm going to teach you this, and then we're going to go and I'll show you the formula, and we'll do the 4 on the worksheet. Let's say I want to know how many ways can 4 people sit around a round table. Okay? So this one, I want us to figure this one out. Okay? So what I'm going to do is pause. Oh, wait, shoot. That's not what I wanted to do. See ya.